Chapter 60. Li Ping'er died of illness, and Simon King became an official. It is said that when Pan Jinlian saw that the child was gone, she cheered up every day and praised her in every possible way. She pointed at the girl and cursed, "Whore. I only said that you always have the sun at noon, but why is it the wrong time today? You turtle dove has fallen. The egg is dead." And the answer is dumb. The backrest of the spring stool is folded. There is no chair. Mrs. Wang sold the mill. It can't be pushed anymore. The old madam is dead. There is no hope. But somehow, just like me, Li Ping'er clearly heard it in the room and didn't dare to say anything. She just shed tears behind her back. With this dark energy and worries, I gradually became confused, obsessed with dreams, and my daily meals were reduced. On the second day after Guangir was buried, Wu Yin'er went home. Old Feng brought a 13-year-old girl over and sold her to Sun Zui for 5 taels of silver. She changed her name to Choir. Li Ping'er, on the one hand, missed her child, and on the other hand, she was so angry that her old illness relapsed, and her menstrual fluid continued to drip from her vagina. Simon King asked a medical officer to come and take the medicine. It was like water pouring on a stone. The more he took it, the more prosperous he became. Over the course of half a month, my appearance gradually diminished. My skin became thinner, and my beauty and beauty were no longer what they used to be. Exactly, most of them have no muscles and bones. How can they suppress so many worries? One day, in early September, the weather was desolate and the golden breeze gradually came. Li Ping'er slept alone in her room at night. The silver bed pillows were cold, and the screen window was soaked by the moon. She thought about her child, sighed, and suddenly it was like someone popping the window lattice. Li Ping'er called to the maids, but they were all fast asleep and didn't answer. Instead, he got out of bed, put on his leather and Bao's shoes, turned over his embroidered jacket, and opened the door. When he went out to look at it, he seemed to see Hua Zixu holding Guangir and calling him, finding a new house and living with him. Li Ping'er was still reluctant to leave Simon King and refused to go, so he held the child with both hands. Hua Zixu pushed him and he fell to the ground. I let go and was surprised, but it was a dream. I broke out in a cold sweat, sobbed, and just cried until dawn. Exactly. Isn't it true that there is no waiting for love? There is a poem to prove it. The slender crescent moon shines on the silver screen, and people want to die in the secluded boudoir. It is regrettable that there are too many romantic affairs and not enough, but you must know that love is the root of sorrow. At that time, the cargo ship coming to protect Nanjing arrived again, and Wang Xian, a young man, came up to collect the car tax and silver. Simon King wrote a book here and sent Ronghai to take 100 taels of silver and a gift of sheep, wine, gold and satin to thank the boss. I just said that this product has been taxed, and I hope you will have a green eye. The shop was fully prepared at home, and the store was opened on the 4th day of September. On that day, the goods were unloaded, including luggage, and a total of 20 carts were loaded. On that day, about 30 people from relatives and friends handed over fruit boxes with red gifts, and Jia Tixing also sent people to send gifts and red gifts. Qiao Da, who called 12 musicians and jugglers, here in Simon King, 3 young children, Li Ming, Wu Hui and Zheng Chun, play and sing. Guys Gen and Han both sell at the counter. One looks at the money, the other talks about the price, and Chui Ben is in charge of collecting and living. Simon King wore bright red and wore a crown. After burning the paper, relatives and friends passed fruit boxes and finished the cups. 15 tables were placed in the back hall, with 5 fruits, 5 vegetables, 3 soups and 5 cuts. Wine was handed over to sit on the table, and drums and music were loud. Sitting there are Qiao Da Hu, Uncle Wu, Second Uncle Wu, Uncle Hua, Uncle Shen, Uncle Han, Wu Daoguan, Ni Shukai, Wen Quickshuan, Earl Ying, Zi Zida, Chang Zhiji, as well as Li Zi and Huang Si. Fu Zixin and other waiters, supervisors, and neighbors all filled the table. The 3 young children sang a set of Nanlu, red jacket and Tai Kai for the newborn of Hun Yuan in front of the banquet. After a while, after 5 rounds of wine and 3 dishes of food, the musicians below were playing and singing. performing a variety of tricks, and people were drinking and drinking. Earl Ying and Zishi flew up to the big bowl, and cups came and went. After drinking until sunset, everyone was dismissed. Simon King only left Uncle Wu, Uncle Shen, Uncle Han, Wen Quickshuan, Count Ying, and Zi Zida to sit at the back. It was newly opened that day, and the clerk collected the account and sold more than 500 taels of silver. Simon King was so happy that he closed the shop late at night and invited Gan, Han Fu, Chui Ben, and Chen Jingji of Bissy Company to the banquet for a drink. After playing for a long time, the musicians were sent away, leaving only 3 little musicians singing in front of the banquet. Earl Ying was already drunk after eating, so he went out to relieve himself. He called Li Ming and asked, "Whose family is that handsome little ewer with a bun and a bun?" Li Ming said, "Second father did know about it. Because he said, it's Zheng Feng's brother Zheng Chen. The day before yesterday, my father had a drink at his house and invited his sister a ewer." The earl said, "Really? It's strange that he was included in the funeral papers the day before yesterday." So he returned to the banquet and said to Simon, "Brother, congratulations again. You have raised your brother-in-law again." Simon King smiled and said, "You are a weirdo, don't talk nonsense." On the other hand, he called Wang Jinglai and said, "I'll give you a large glass of wine for my second father." The earl said to Uncle Wu, "Uncle, what do you say?" "I have no name for this punishment," Simon King said. "I will punish you for being such a dog and talking nonsense." The earl lowered his head in thought for a while, then laughed and said, "Don't worry about it. Wait for me to eat. I can't kill anyone." Then he said, "I have never been able to drink dumb wine. If you ask Zheng Chen to come up and sing for me, that's all I'll do." At that moment, 3 young actors came up to play and sing. The earl ordered Li Ming and Wu Hu to go down. "I don't want you to. I just want Zheng Chen to play the zheng alone and sing a little tune while I drink." Zishi shouted, "Zheng Chen, come here and sing to your second father." Simon King said, "Hey Wuzzy once said, there is a song and a drink." He asked Diane to take 2 big silver bells and put them in front of Yinger. Zheng Chenqian played the silver zither and sang Jing Zhang Yin in a low voice. A girl of 16 or 17 saw a pair of butterflies playing. The fragrant shoulders are leaning against the pink wall, and the spring bamboo shoots shed tears. Call Mei Xiang and drive him to fly elsewhere. Zheng Chen sang to invite the wine, and the earl had just finished drinking it, and Diane quickly poured it in again. Zheng Chen sang again, turning round the railing. I saw him, leaning against the T-frame, pretending to be shy, straightening my phoenix skirt, not talking about last night, smiling and pinching the flower pieces. After the count had eaten, he quickly pushed Zida and said, "Well, I can't make it. I can't make it. These 2 big bells have sent me away." "See," she said, "silly boy, if you can't bear to eat, why should you choose me? I am a barbarian from your family who has fur." The earl said, "Silly boy, I will become a court official tomorrow, and you will be the one to replace me." Simon King said, "You are such a genius. You will have to be Sheo tomorrow." The earl smiled and said, "Silly boy, I became Sheo, and I just gave up the hall to you." Simon King smiled and ordered Diana, "Knock the melon to beat this thief. It's just nonsense." The earl said, "Mr. Wen is a gentleman and doesn't care about such noisy matters." When Xiu Kai said, "Second Duke and I, Mr. Dongjin, are so generous. It is true that we are not so happy in the middle of the banquet. The joy is in the heart, and the music master spreads out. Unconsciously, the hands are dancing and the feet are dancing. In this way." Uncle Shen said to Simon King, "Uncle, it's not like this. Please come to the table and give me an order, whether it's throwing dice, guessing coins, or looking at cards. Not just poems and songs, true continuations, and urgent commands, but we are here to have a drink. This couple is even and not messy with each other." Simon King said, "That's what my uncle said." I poured a cup first and started ordering with Uncle Wu. Uncle Wu picked up the dice basin and said, "Everyone, I have an order. Follow the numbers and ask for a flower name when you encounter something. The flower name must be true, and you can say a word regardless of poetry or song. If you can't say it, you will be fined." Big cup. I just throw a little red plum blossoms against white plum blossoms. Uncle Wu tossed it too and got an extra cup. After drinking, it's time for Uncle Shen to take the drink. Uncle Shen said, throw 2 lotuses together, and the lotus ripples play with the colorful mandarin ducks. Uncle Shen also threw it too. After drinking 2 cups, he went over the basin to give orders to Uncle Han. Uncle Han said, 3 spring plums are thrown 3 times, and the plums are not crowned. After Uncle Han finished throwing, he ate wine and gave it to Wen Shukai. The scholar said, my student has been ordered to throw the number 1 scholar red 4 times. Red and purple are not considered underwear. Wen Shukai only had a glass of wine and had a meal, so he should have followed the count's orders. The earl said, I don't know a word next, and I won't tell the truth. I just give a quick command. A hasty young man holds a soybean bag in his left hand and a cotton fork in his right hand. Just run away in front of you. A yellow and white dog is biting the fork of the cotton flour. The hurried young man put down the soybean bag in his left hand and walked forward to beat the yellow and white dog. I don't know how to fight with my hands. Over that dog. Dog over against that hand. Simon King laughed and scolded. You thief. You damn thief. Who can tease a dog with just 1 hand? How can you not be bitten by that dog? The earl said, who told him not to bring a stick? I am now the walking stick is missing. The dog is angry with me. Zi Shidao, official man. You see that Hua Zi's own family has fallen into disgrace, and they say he is Hua Zi. Simon King said, he should be punished by 1 minute, but not by an order. Zi Zichen, just do it. The broken tiles fell down and hit the mules and horses. I don't know if the broken tiles injured the mules or horses, or if the mules and horses stepped on the broken tiles. The earl said, you are laughing at my bad command, but you are a lame donkey? Your wife, Sister Liu, is just a mule, and I am just a lame donkey. Zi Shidao said, that old whore, Du Mampo, of yours, had to feed the pigs and coax the dogs with her black beans, and she didn't want her. The 2 men argued back and forth, each pouring for a minute, and it was Han's turn to throw. Han Daoguo said, Father, how dare you, the villain, take the lead. Simon King said, come along, don't be inferior. So Han Daoguo said, throw plum blossoms 5 times, and you will meet gods in the flowers. After the toss was completed, it was time for Simon to celebrate the toss. And Simon King said, I want to throw a 6. The 6 toss is full of stars, and the stars are cold in the blue pool. Sure enough, a 6 came out. When Earl Ying saw it, he said, brother, it will be winter this year. I will be in charge of affairs, get an official position, and get a salary. I have something to celebrate. So he poured a large glass of wine with Simon King. At the same time, Li Ming and 3 others came up to play and sing, and they dispersed after playing until midnight. Simon King sent Xiao Yu out, check the guys, sent Ding and Daoguo, Gang Bian, Chui Ben, and Lai Bao to stay overnight in turns. He told them to look carefully at the door, and then went over there. 1 night is not a problem. The next day, Earl Ying brought Li Zi and Huang Si to hand over the money, and said, only 1456 taels of silver were locked up in this case, which was not enough to pay back. I only took 350 taels of silver with my father. I won't be too late to finish the search after I'm released from prison. The count said a few more kind words for him. Simon King taught Chen Jingji to come, exchange the money and send it away. The money was still on the table. Simon King Yin asked the count. Second brother Chang said that he had found his house, with 4 rooms in front and back, and only needed 35 taels of silver. He came to me and said that when the child was seriously ill, I was heartbroken. He was in trouble, so he sent him away. I wonder if he told you to come? The count said, he told me to come. And I said, you are not the one who went. He is not a good man. He is in trouble? What's the matter? Is your mood talking to you? Don't go back to the house for a while. I'll just answer the question for you when I see my brother. Simon King said, forget it. After you have eaten, take a ladder with 50 taels of silver. Today is a good day, so you can finish the house for him. For the rest, ask Brother Chang to open a small shop in front of him. How much money he can earn in a short period of time is enough for him and his wife to make ends meet. The Earl said, "This is because I'm looking after him." After a while, food was put on the table. Simon King ate with him and said, "I won't keep you. Just take the money and do the work for him." The Earl said, "Why don't you teach a senior official here and come with me?" Simon King said, "It's no nonsense. Just leave it behind." The Earl said, "That's not what you're talking about. I have something small to do today. I told my brother that it was my cousin Dusanda's birthday in the morning. I sent some gifts to him in the morning, and he sent a boy to invite me to sit down in the afternoon. I can't, when you talk back to you, teach a high official to follow you and make it a house, so that you can teach him to talk back to you." Simon King said, "If you dare to tell me, ask Wang Jing to go with you." On the other hand, Wang Jing and the Earl were called to the Chang family. Chang Jiji was at home. When he saw the Count arrive, he asked him to come inside and sit down. The Earl took out the silver and showed it to Chang Jiji, and said, "The high official is like this. He asked me to marry you today. I have no time to spare. Brother Dusand invited me to have a drink. I will finish your business now. I just had to go." Chang Jiji hurriedly asked his wife to come and have tea, saying, "Who is willing to accept my brother's kindness?" After having tea, he called the people in the house and went to Xinxi Street with him, exchanged the money with the seller, and wrote the house deed. The Earl told Wang Jing to return home to Simon to celebrate. The remaining money was collected by Chang Jiji. He said goodbye to Chang Jiji and went to Du's house to have a drink. Simon King read the deed and asked Wang Jing to send it and Changer to accept it. Without further ado, it's exactly this. When asking for help, you need to be a man. When you need help, you need to help others when they are in need. Everything is inferior. Who knows that kindness is a good idea?
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.